Okay, this is Orlando Wilson, and what I want to talk about in this video, well, I want to answer a question. A few people's reached out to me in the last few days, and a few people are concerned about the way things are going as far as terrorism and such things. And they asked me my opinion. I think there's been numerous reports out by numerous news agencies. I think the US, somebody in the US, one of the government agencies, put out a warning that there's a heightened threat of terrorism, etc, etc, etc. So what's my opinion on the current terrorist threat, etc? Well, to me, to be very honest, the terrorist threat as far as Europe and US is concerned has been there a long time. I'm surprised nothing's gone, there's been no major incidents in the last couple of years. And one of the biggest issues, as we all know, is open borders and immigration, especially with the US in the moment because you've got people pouring across the southern border. Nobody knows who they are, and they're being given bus tickets to major cities where they can go and chill and mingle. And again, Europe's got nobody knows who's in Europe because of open borders, the refugee crisis, well, the immigrant crisis. I'm not going to call them refugees. So again, the terrorist threat to me has been there for a long time, mainly due to nobody knows who the hell's in their countries these days. A lot of the threats, I think the threats come up, the warnings have come up due to the situation in Gaza, and also now to the situation in the Red Sea with the Houthis. And a lot of people, I think, are pointing the finger at Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, that these people could be pulling off terrorist attacks in Europe and the US. My opinion on that is, I don't think they have to. I don't think, well, put it this way, people aren't going to like this, but it seems like Hamas is still fighting strong against Israel. Even though Israel is pounding the civilian population, but they're not really doing much damage to Hamas. So Hamas, military-wise, is holding the upper hand. Politically and publicity-wise, Hamas and the Palestinians are destroying the Israelis publicity-wise. So I don't think Hamas would be, well, they might be that stupid, I don't know them, whatever. But again, at the moment they have the upper hand, especially as far as publicity is concerned and public sympathy in most places. So for them to go and commit an atrocity somewhere, a terrorist attack, I don't think they have to. The Houthis, I don't think they have to. They have the Red Sea, they have everybody's balls in their hands, to put it politely. And I think last night they fired a missile at a US ship. There's 2 Navy SEALs gone missing. The Houthis are holding their own, and I don't think they need to go and commit a terrorist attack in Europe or the US. As far as American targets being hit in the Middle East and European, British targets being hit in the Middle East, yes, that is very, very viable. Where I see an opening for a terrorist attack would be a false flag attack by extremist groups that see the situation in Gaza, to see that Israel is not really controlling the situation and want to commit a false flag attack in the name of a Middle Eastern terrorist group to try to discredit Hamas, Palestinian causes, etc, etc. I would say there's more of a threat from a false flag attack than there is from an actual attack. Now, I've heard people come out and say, well, ISIS. You know what? I don't know the politics of Hamas and the Palestinians, but the fact that they're aligned in some way with Hezbollah, I can't see ISIS really getting involved I can't see it, I'm not an expert on this, getting involved on behalf of the Palestinians unless they were put up to doing it. And you've got to remember, ISIS has been blamed, they claimed responsibility for the recent bombing in Iran at the tomb of General Soleimani or whatever. There was how many people killed there recently, and there's been numerous attacks in Iran, all blamed to ISIS. So if there's an ISIS attack, people are going to try to pin that to Hezbollah, etc. They're completely different groups. Hezbollah were fighting ISIS in Syria, etc. The Shia groups, Hashishabi, were fighting ISIS in Iraq. So it's funny, one question is, ISIS seems to be popping up again these days. Who's funding them, who's facilitating them? But I'm not going to go into what people would class as conspiracy theories, but there's plenty of facts, there's plenty of questions there. The other extremist threats, and again, especially look at what's going on politically with the situation in Ukraine. Ukraine's losing, and if you don't think so, you know what, that's a fact. Ukraine is losing. They're losing funding, etc., etc., etc. I know the British gave them $2.5 billion the other day. Well, Britain's in finance, most British people are struggling, but they have the money to give to Ukraine. I'm not going to get into that. But I think, and people say false flags attacks aren't really viable, especially coming from Western-based people supporting Israel, the West, etc. Well, I say they are. Just look at the Nord Stream. The attack on the Nord Stream pipeline. Everybody blamed it on Russia, but why is Russia going to blow up its own pipeline? And I think the finger's been pointed at Ukrainians for doing that, no doubt with US support or British support, etc. But the investigation has faltered. So as far as false flag attacks are concerned, yes, the West and extremist groups attached to the West are very, very capable of doing such. The other issue I see with terrorism, and again false flag attacks, especially in US, is extremist groups pulling off attacks in the name of white supremacists, etc., due to the elections coming up this year. And one thing that strikes me as strange with all I see the demonstrations in support of Palestine in the US, but we're not hearing anything from Antifa. So I thought that would have been a cause Antifa would have jumped on straight away, but for some reason Antifa's very, very quiet. Maybe their supporters are not really in support of Palestine, but who knows. So to me at the moment, the world is a very murky place. There's a lot of, I think governments have been playing all sides for too long, and it's coming to the point where, same as things with Al-Qaeda, everybody used to support Al-Qaeda until it come around and bit them in the ass. So a lot of people have been playing all sides, and now it's going to be whose side's playing who. But as far as terrorism is concerned, I think for the last how many years people should have been waiting for a terrorist attack. I'm surprised it's not happened. A serious terrorist attack in the US or Europe. Should things be heightened at the moment? Yes, because I think if there is an attack, it's going to be from fringe extremists, and I think it's more going to be to try to discredit and cause more division amongst the general population, rather than it being solely on behalf of a terrorist group. I hope that makes sense. But the big picture, I think a lot of people hopefully are beginning to see this, the endless wars and the conflict after conflict is doing no good for anybody apart from the people that's, how can I put it, the industrial military machine. A lot of people are suffering for no reason, so I don't think we need any. Hopefully there'll be no terrorist attacks. We don't need any more problems in the Europe and the US. We don't need any more division, and hopefully all this people, well, the psychopaths that's ruling the world at the moment, will start seeing sense, and instead of using military force all the time, go back to what people used to do, and that's talk about things and use diplomacy. But we can live in hope, right? So that's my opinion. You should always be aware of terrorism. Is there going to be a heightened risk from terrorist attacks? Yes. Who's going to be responsible? I would be, if I see something going bang these days, I'm going to be thinking false flag and looking behind what mainstream media is putting out there, and looking for the real story, not what it appears to be or what it's framed to be. So just my opinion. In the meantime, follow me along on social media. I've got more of these videos up, an array of books on Amazon, even one to do with counterterrorism. And in the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble. And again, all I can say is stay safe and stay out of trouble, right? In these crazy days.